Great chat. So this is loosely based around an idea that we played in Modern for a while. And it wasn't top tier there, but it was funny and sweet. So we've got, you know, Hellhound, Brushfire Elemental, Mammoth, and Felidar Retreat here as landfall cards. Then we've got 4 copies of Scapeshift. And when you shift the landscape around, boy, do you get a bunch of landfall triggers. We've also got Knight of the Reliquary here, which can sack lands to search up other lands. We've got Spellbinder for a touch of disruption. And we've got Abundant Harvest here in order to kind of tie the room together and add some consistency. Now, one sad thing that this deck is missing is there aren't any copies of... I'm blanking on his name. Soaring Sea Cliff was a card we played in the Modern deck in Sajiri Step to like make your landfall creatures fly. So we do at least have Felidar Retreat in order to go wide and tall, which is nice with the +1/+1 counters in the cat. So let's see how this goes. See if we get on the scoreboard a little bit or if this one's more meme and dream than anything else. Chat loves cutting cards like Grazer that are good against aggro and then complaining that the aggro deck killed them on turn 4. It's one of Twitch chat's favorite things. DMS, thank you for the 39 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. We'll get to drop the Hellhound here on 1. We'll get to go Grazer into attack with a 4-power Hellhound on 2. JK, deck's busted. Lauren, good afternoon. And keep a hand that doesn't do anything till turn 3 on the draw. Let's find out, shall we? Smell that shit? Smells like Gandalf. Wait, what? They didn't lapse? Like, if you weren't gonna lapse an Elite Spellbinder, you should probably... Weird. I'm gonna take Shark Typhoon here, because it basically discards it, because they can't cycle it anymore. And, like, they want to cycle the first Shark Typhoon here, so by taking the second, it means if they draw the land, they can't make a 1/1 to block this. Oh no! Oh no, chat! Blood Sun turns off our Fabled Passages. Blood Sun makes our Fabled Passages do nothing. We can still sacrifice them tonight. Twitch chat's never cast Eye to the Reliquary before, and it shows. What's going on, Burke? Good morning. We could still sacrifice them to Scapeshift, that's true. Alright, so we don't need Grazer in this matchup. Really want my extra hitters and card advantage here. What do I want to trim? I'm gonna cut the Fabled Passages. We still have 26 lands plus harvest. I think that's fine. Like, my life total was technically above 0 there. You are correct. Accurate summation. Seems nice. It has curves and stuff. Can you explain why you think my deck is soft to control? I mean, like, we just played a game where they cast a sweeper and I drew no spells, so I get that you as a member of Twitch chat have a hard time thinking past the game you just watched, but could you explain on average why you think this matchup is bad, and why I should play narrow bad sideboard cards for it? In an attempt to rectify it being bad? If you don't know if the matchup's bad and don't want to theory craft as to why it's bad, maybe just take a second and wait and see. Also, yeah, there's literally Shifting Ceratops in my sideboard already, so like... Scapeshift sacks is part of the resolution. So if they counterspell it, you don't lose your stuff. Like a Helix here in response. Just a Shark Typhoon. Oh, they probably had the Wrath of God and didn't have the... This is probably their only land. Spellbinder solidly above average.
I have just the trick for this.
Alright, so they were on the 0 outer there. So our deck won the match. So I'd like to reflect that we're on the scoreboard. But they're ranked 900 something and clearly likely grinding for top 1200. So I'm gonna go ahead and concede. Because we are not playing for top 1200 this season. Do not care about playing in a standard qualifier for next month. Right. At the end of the season last week or so, I make an attempt to not beat people that are close to qualifying. Like here, this opponent is 92%. We'll play this game to its natural conclusion. That's fine. Unfortunate we don't have red here. That's untapped. Like, I have to use my Fabled Passage before I can play my landfall creatures, which is super awk. So this deck does auto-concede to control. Oh. What's going on, Conscript? Thanks for the sub. Welcome to the channel this afternoon. Thank you. We're just in on the Mammoth here. Hey, Pedge, thanks for 23 months. Welcome back. Want to check out some of their options here. Survey says. Okay. A lot of options for the opponent. Afternoon R Hunter. Probably start next turn by drawing a spell with Abundant Harvest and see where we go from there. JK, LOL, Will Hellhound plus Mammoth. Lead on this to play around Censor. Five colored ephemerals just took my wild cards and wallet for a ride. Yep, it do be like that sometimes. Well, I have an Abundant Harvest in my hand too, so the Auto Tapper was prioritizing Abundant Harvest. We're gonna do this before we play our lands. So we could draw Brushfire Elemental. Kazandu. It's fine. Tap land, attack for 2. I don't want to play around Censor bad enough to shock myself here. Okay, if they don't have a card that plays to the board, Scapeshift next turn could do the thing. We have not played Enigmatic Incarnation since the most recent set release. Ooh. Ooh. Oh gosh, Elite Spellbinder is a great pickup for that deck, isn't it? I wasn't even thinking about that. Yeah, that sounds great. Hey, thanks for the 20 months, Sword and Shield. So, low probability we die next turn. Not 0, but low. They could, like, flash in Brazen Borrower, flash into 1-power things here. Abundant Harvest. Yeah, it seems like a good pickup for that one too, J-Ray. Get that. We won the first match, and we're getting to do the thing in the second match. Nice, nice. Look at who's smart and thin and put a bunch of Shifting Ceratops in his sideboard. This guy right here. Some Lightning Helixes. Is this a Nectarpot matchup? I feel like it's probably not, huh? Probably not a Nectarpot matchup. Knight of the Reliquary is a little slow and clunky. Probably want to cut at least one piece of top end here. Grazer is very good here. Yep. Cuts off their Curious Obsession creatures nicely. So, Spellbinder doesn't do damage, but he like takes a counter spell out of their hand and makes it more expensive, and he like trades with obsession creatures. So I feel like all of your cards that can deal with their obsession creatures are things you want here. I'm gonna trim a couple of these. What if we cut all of these and put in the Valakut Exploration, just go a little bit bigger? Hate that. This is 10 landfall payoffs. Yeah, knowing when to jam and how to sequence against mono blue has a lot of value as well. Now, small gameplay interaction note here. Arboreal Grazer cannot put Kazandu Mammoth's backside into play. So I'm keeping this hand, but we can't play Grazer till turn 2 with it. Why is that, if you ask? I don't know the specific rules interaction, why that is, because of various reasons, but it doesn't. That's just how it works. I wish I had a better answer. I don't. They have a third Curious Obsession. If they have a third Obsession here, they get to attack past Spellbinder. I have to unsummon my Grazer. Was this a good draw? If so, why? Please explain. So, it's not really a 3-for-1 when you think about it, because my opponent did draw 2 cards with one of those and 1 card with the other. So it was good. It shut my opponent's card advantage off, but like it's technically like a 1-for-1 thereabouts. Yeah, so it's still great, but it's not really card advantage because of the way. And that's why, you know, these effects are good, right? Like if they get in once, they get that, they break that normal downside that you see with effects like that. See that, chat? That was bait. One could make the argument that I'm a master at baiting. Think Shift is good without cards like Field that are Valakut? Nah, probably not. We're not playing this deck because it's likely good. We're playing this deck because it looks like it could be sweet. Look at that, chat. I just cast 4 mana for my Field of the Dead. That's rude. They got to unsummon my Field of the Dead. One Shifting Ceratops away from salvation is accurate. Okay, so if we draw an untapped land next turn, we could Brushfire Elemental, make it a 3/3, Scapeshift, make it a 12, 15, 15. Site, thanks for the sub gifts. Your Tuesday is going swell. Is it Tuesday? I think it's Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. That first Scapeshift there, setting us up for another good turn with our Brushfire Elemental. Hey, Slinker and Eyeball Head, both coming in hot for the 18th month. Thanks for the 1.5 years. In your second shot today, Godspeed, Charlie. Okay, so Dead to Curious Obsession, but otherwise in an okay spot. My deck has 5 basics in it, right? We had just drawn one already. Yeah. Survey says. Ooh, Sea Dasher gets us 2. Close game. I get to have game 3 on the plate here, huh? Been loving the straight to YouTube content lately. Do you have any more videos planned? Yeah, I think my plan, so I'm going to be normalizing my schedule a little bit instead of working insane amount of hours like I have been after set release. So like tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to go back to be doing some variety stuff at the end of the streams. So I'll do Magic in the morning, but not all 8 hours all the way through. And I think with me planning to take some most Saturdays and Sundays off again, I'm gonna plan to do a direct to YouTube short video each weekend. Because YouTube rewards you a little bit if you try and post content every day, so that would let me get stuff posted 6 days a week at least, even if I'm not streaming 6 days a week. Is this good enough? I feel like it's not. Maybe it's because of the Helix. It's like Helix into Spellbinder, and then I have lands to do all my stuff with. Maybe this is fine. I don't know. I wouldn't fault someone for mulliganing this, but it's got a curve at least. Well, I guess the fact that I have 2 basics in my opener makes this hand kind of bad. Makes my future Fabled Passages worse. Let's pick up. No, he's shocked there, so not surprised to see the spell pair. It's one of those real scripted interactions where, like, they know we have it, we know they have it, but we have to, like, take the trades anyways. I probably just want to guaranteed take this now. It would be nice to take a peek at their hand, but, like, if they have, like, a Stern Dismissal in hand and they bounce this and hit us and draw another card, then counterspell this, we, like, lose the game to the snowballing very quickly. I think we take the conservative play and just take the guaranteed payoff. The guaranteed removal of their payoff. I'm gonna play my land out before we cast this to play around Lofty Denial countering unless I pay 1. Niv was super reasonable, Abzan. Felt very, very decent again. No land drop from them is good and bad. It's bad because it means that their hand has 6 spells in it right now, which is pretty scary. I wonder if I'm supposed to play Mammoth here to start pressuring them. Yeah. I think we just take the Curious Obsession. I guess this... Yeah, I'm going to take the Sea Dasher, actually. The Sea Dasher, they can mutate at instant speed after I declare blockers. So this lets them Curious Obsession plus Stern Dismissal here, but I think that's fine. Nah, World Shaper is slow and bad. That's nice. My favorite decks that I've played in Historic currently. Soon, the list of those will be up on my website. For now, I'm going to say Red, White, Midrange, and Dead Guy Yell, though. That's pretty good. Oh, I think we're just supposed to be holding lands at this point, but... Yeah, no Shifty Boy. Probably means we're dying here. Honestly, just the Flood means we're dying. We need some more spells here. We don't have any of our landfall payoffs to pair with these. Hey, thanks for the tip, Cheesy Pastries. Thanks for playing the green-black deck I put together yesterday. It was really cool seeing a good reaction from you and others, and I can see why you like that part of your job so much. Thanks for throwing it together. It was a sweet configuration for sure. Well, the good news is, if they don't draw a counterspell, this gets blocked by the Spellbinder. I've liked established decks before. I just really don't like playing mirror matches. So if mirror matches, and that's one of the nice things about a format like this is I'm more likely to like an established deck in a format like this than I am to like an established deck in a format like Standard, because established decks in Historic are less likely to result in mirror matches. Yeah, definitely, J-Ray. That's another sweet one that if it feels reasonable post archives is worth throwing up on the site. One of your finest Shifting Ceratopses, please. Abundant Harvest. So nice, we drew it twice. Well. We'll see him mutate the Sea Dasher on here. Alright, come on. Shifty boy. Shifty boy deck. It's been 2 games without my shifties. I think random's better than that with Shifting Ceratops in my deck. Don't stern dismissal me again. Don't do it. Scapeshift, Shifting Ceratops. Scapeshift, Shifting Ceratops. Scapeshift is still lethal next turn, right? With the Felidar Retreat? This is only 7 between these two, so if they attack with both of these, and their top decks, that these are, if this is a brick and this is a brick, Scapeshift is lethal. Yeah, Adapt only puts us to 1, though. Rough beats. Not really a whole lot we can do about that one. I read Gruul Control. That's definitely a bold choice if I saw it. Yeah, it was a sweet build around. So I was like, hey, can you try building a control deck around Klothys? I think Klothys is a sick threat in this format, so we're definitely going to try. Yeah, it's like big red-green. It's playing like Abundant Harvest and Klothys and, I forget. I think there's a picture in the queue. We were talking about it in the subs Discord. If you want previews of decks that we're going to be playing that I'm building on stream, I often talk about what decks I'm working on in the Historic channel or whatever format channel it is, mostly Historic these days, in the subs Discord the night before. Stomping Ground Luris, Jund. Occasionally I tweet them. After the fact. I don't think I tweeted them last night. Twitter was kind of being stains last night, so I stayed off it. And by stains last night, I mean more stains than usual, so that's always. Social media is always a crapshoot, just some days are worse than others. Do I smack them for 8, or do I try and set up Knight of the Reliquary? What does stains mean? Well, stains aren't good, they're bad. I kind of like just aiding them, huh? Because then we can kill them with Scapeshift potentially next turn. Go either way. I'm gonna Knight of the Reliquary. Knight doesn't die to Fatal Push. Is the thing. You know, I should attack first there before I play the Knight. I probably missed 2 points of damage. Because, like, if they had Fatal Push or Blood Chief's Thirst this turn and I aided them, they could, like, kill one, flash it back, kill the other. Which wouldn't be great for me. There are 2 copies of Valakut Exploration in my sideboard. Hey, look, Chad, it's the card I played around. How close to lethal is this Brushfire Elemental? So I'm going to get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to attack for 17 next turn, I think. Oh no, this is only 1 mana. I can't quite do this and this in the same turn. Miscounted there. Solid Kerchunk. Didn't get to Scapeshift, but still kind of got to Pippity Pop. Yeah, 2 basics left in our deck. We're playing 2 forests, 2 plains, and a mountain. So they can kill Brushfire with the Blood Chief's Thirst out of the bin with the Dreadhorde Arcanist, but then Scapeshift is lethal with the Knight of the Ebon Legion, or Knight of the Reliquary. I think the cost of the temples is pretty high. Yeah, now we're probably dead. Say a way to kill the knight. So it's definitely a matchup where Arboreal Grazer comes out. The acceleration is less important than the fact that it's just not worth a card in most situations. I hope like one of the next anthologies gives us some better utility lands for this format. I would like it if Knight of the Reliquary was sweet. Without things like Sajiri Step. It's really sad though. Yeah, we're just gonna lose our hands here. I'm gonna concede. Would a Ghost Quarter have been lethal? No, Ghost Quarter is the same number of land drops as Fabled Passage, right? Because Ghost Quarter comes into play, you Ghost Quarter yourself, you fetch another land. It's identical. What creature land? Well, we're guaranteed to get the 5 creature lands that are in Pioneer. I'd like other utility lands, like like the Gavany Township cycle from the original Innistrad. I would like Sajiri Step, stuff like that. The rest of the Triumphs would be nice at some point too, but like those aren't cards that exist yet, so they have to print them. Spellbinder's probably pretty mediocre here. All right, let's try this. I think Barrage fetches would be playable in Historic. I don't think so. Those come into play tapped, right? Things that put lands into play tapped aren't playable. Wally West of Earth 2. Thanks for the follow. What's going on, youngest son? What is this? It's a Roblox game? Okay, I don't have time. This is asking you to sign up for something. So, if your mom's not busy with work, ask her to look at it. Otherwise, I can look at it tonight when I'm done, okay? This is fine. Yeah, Treetop Village, Fairy Conclave would be sweet. The playable ones from those creature lands. Would Bog be worthwhile? A Lantern to fetch with Knight of the Reliquary. Nah, your Knight of the Reliquary is generally dying in matchups like this. Like that last game. Mobile games are the bane of society. I don't think that's true at all. There are a lot of mobile games that are very reasonable. And to call a spade, there are plenty of desktop and non-mobile games at this point that are monetized just as bad or worse than some mobile games. Magic Arena. Sorry, something in my throat. Odern, thanks for the Prime support. I appreciate the half a year. Alright, so there's probably a Fatal Push here. The question is, do I want to fetch with the Fabled Passage this turn? Probably, honestly. That's true. We can now group Magic Arena in with the rest of the mobile games. Its monetization definitely matches. Has Grafdigger's Cage fallen out of favor? It has, yeah. So the Jund Company Sacrifice deck has largely fallen off the map with the latest injection of cards. So rest in peace is the one people have been playing more of. And Soul Guide Lantern to nuke entire graveyards. The problem with something like Grafdigger's Cage is when your opponent like abrades your Grafdigger's Cage, they still have their entire graveyard there to use. I agree with you that gambling can be fun and doing it responsibly is fine. But I think it's also important to acknowledge, honestly, my biggest complaint about games like Raid Shadow Legends and Magic Arena, because let's be honest, those games belong in the same category, is all of these games should have an 18+ label on them due to the way that they monetize. So I agree that gambling is fine and gambling is fun, but these games should be treated like the gambling that they are and have appropriate warnings on them. Because there are a lot of people that don't understand what these games are and go into them thinking that they're something that they're not. So from a regulation standpoint, like I don't think Arena needs to change its monetization. Like, it's fine, they do what they do for a reason, but I also think that, like, from a consumer perspective, we should tell consumers more clearly that this is what these are. Okay, if they don't kill my stuff, Scapeshift is lethal. Damn it. That's not killing my stuff, but Scapeshift is no longer lethal. Wait, what? Did they... Friendo? Do you not... Alright, so they're dead. Good chat. Brushfire Elemental has flavor text, chat. Brushfire Elemental has flavor text. It's about to kill them. 2 power or less. Cannot block. I don't really have strong feelings on secondary currencies being regulated out of existence. I think from that aspect, it's pretty whatever. I just think there should be clarity around what the game's doing, what they are. And I agree it should apply to paper card games too, right? And honestly, we might see that. We're kind of starting to see that happen, especially some countries in Europe are starting to go after games that include loot boxes. And like booster packs are the OG loot boxes. I wonder if this deck could use Risen Reef to make it more aggressive. Can you explain to me how adding a 1-mana 3/3 to my deck you think makes it more aggressive? Because that line of reasoning doesn't make sense to me. And a 4th color. A 3 mana 1, a 3 mana 1/1. Did I say 1 mana 3/3? Whatever. You know what I meant. Stop it, Twitch chat. We aim to please, Weebos. Displayed the expected value of how far your dollars gets you in the game. Nah, that's never gonna happen. They make a ton of money from obscuring how much the game actually costs to play. Yeah, but that doesn't really make our deck more aggressive, Conscript. So, like, what you're saying there is, like, worse than, like, the Scapeshifts that we're already playing, for example. You'd almost never make a deck more aggressive by splashing another color, because splashing a color adds more tap lands to your deck and removes consistency from your deck. Which means that if your deck is less consistent, you're not going to be aggressive more often. You're just going to not be able to play your spells more often. Part of me wants to Nissa Vital Force, but another part of me wants to murder this with Helix, and I'm pretty sure the Dreadhorde Arcanist has got to go. Yeah, that's a good way to phrase it. What Navier said there. Splashing adds power; it does not add consistency. People talk about, tons of studies have been done on human behavior, and all of the things about the economy and the way these things are structured is because your human behavior dictates that they structure them these ways. So, like, they're just playing off of what people do. It's slow and difficult and expensive to buy every card in Arena outright, but one of the reasons why they do that is studies have been shown in these mobile collection games that your players stop playing as much when they have complete collections. So giving I know it sounds counterintuitive. You would think people would play more if they have all of the cards, but that's not what the data shows. The data shows that people play less when you give them access to all of the cards because they no longer have anything to work towards. Ministy, thank you for the Prime support. There's a ton of great people you can send that to every single month here on Twitch. Thanks for sending it this way this month. No, it's definitely true for card games too. It's not just gacha games. Kinda wish I had a Bajuka Bog here, but unfortunately I don't. Happened to be with Rune Terra, can confirm. Yep. Yep. There is a downside to your game being too generous in terms of what people play. And then, you know, then you had a different problem too, right? Like if you play less, if you have people playing less, then your queue times are longer, etc. Yeah, Retreat with Night here is sweet. This is our first time getting to have active Night with Retreat on the table. And should give us some fair grind plan here, which sounds great. My favorite MTG plane. There's people that will answer that question with Innistrad, then there's people who are wrong. I think I'm making 2 more cats next turn, so I'm just going to go ahead and click OK here. Nah, I started playing Standard with New Phyrexia. You wait to crack Fabled Passage till this turn, you can attack with Night and still activate it? Nah. I wanna... Wait, how... Oh! Oh, this gives Vigilance. I always forget this gives Vigilance. I don't know, I think I want to make 2 cats here. I didn't think about that, you're right, I should have thought about that, but... Maelstrom Pulse is brutal here. Alright, so looking for Scapeshift for next turn. A little bit short here, right? Needed to defeat a removal spell on that night for a turn so we could threaten to block the Kroxa. Maybe I am supposed to hold the Fabled Passage so we could put a counter and attack. That makes them forced to chump. Yeah, I think the person in chat that pointed that out was right. I'd be down a cap, but I would have gotten to push with the Knight there. And then I would have been set up to push lethal this turn with the sequencing that ended up working out that way. That's something I have to... I always forget about that extra line on the enchantment that we're playing. Draw some lands here, huh? You want a hot take? What's the worst plane? No. Set constructed. So the problem with, in general, I'm going to avoid doing custom formats for Hoaglandia tournaments. Because custom format tournaments, formats that people can't queue up for in client, tend to be less popular to watch and play in. Because they're difficult to test for, because you can only theory craft for them. So, we're probably going to do something really novel like the Arena Vintage at some point that we've talked about, but that'll be more the exception than the rule. Because in general, people don't want to sign up to play in events like those, is my experience running them. SCG's historic this weekend. That's good to know. Now I gotta decide if I want to try and play in those. Discord, sure, I'm not saying it's impossible, Crazy Duck. I'm just telling you objectively those formats are less popular and people want to watch them less. So I believe you that, like, you've played... that people play those and you queue up for it. Gladiator, and that's the other thing too, right? Gladiator is actually not a boomer phrase. It's a fan-created format that doesn't have a queue on Magic Arena, so nobody really gives a shit or knows about it. Like, the community for it is very small because it's narrow and there's no queue for it in the client. And again, that's not me saying the format is bad. It's a 100-card singleton historic format that looks kind of neat. But from a content perspective and a viewer perspective, it's just not popular. Because there's not a queue. That's just how these things work. Hey, Kinar Tulski, thank you for the quarter view. I appreciate the prime. Welcome back. Yeah, I mean, there's 1,500 people watching, and I would wager probably half or more of them had never heard Gladiator in the context of Magic before. I think we trim Scapeshifts against the control deck. Because my opponent is likely to be disrupting our boards. This will just be a dead card in our hand like it was in that last game. Land. Historic Tiny Leaders is dead in the water, yeah. And again, just because people like to take things out of context and not really pay attention to what I'm saying, I'm not saying you shouldn't enjoy Gladiator, and I'm not saying no one plays it. I'm just saying from a content perspective, running a tournament in it, I will have less players than running something like Historic. Even the Arena Vintage format that I've talked about that I want to run at some point, that will be less popular than just normal Historic. It'll be novel and neat to do it at least once. So I'm going to do it, but like consistently doing other weird format things like that isn't something that like some Cool Stuff Inc. would want to sponsor consistently, for example. And honestly, I wouldn't even want to run it as a TO because like it's the same amount of effort for a worse result on my part. Yeah, that too. Like, the Arena Vintage, like, technically people would have to craft things like Natural Order, but... Which means that, honestly, it might be a thing that we just can't get signups for, because it'd be expensive for people to craft cards that they'd never use again. I like casting Shifting Ceratops here, because if they draw a land and Wrath of Goddess next turn, it means we get to resolve Nissa Vital Force. As a TO, why would you want to run a tournament that you can't validate the legality of deck lists against? Validating the legality of deck lists is a complete non-issue. Like, you literally just have your players validate each other's deck lists. Like, it's an open deck list tournament. If somebody's cheating and registering cards that technically aren't legal, like, their opponent's gonna know and they'll get DQ'd right away. So, like, open deck list polices that very easily. Also, like, it's no different than paper, right? And, like, to show you that it's not a big deal where you can't automatically have legality of deck list checked for you, Magic Arena is bugged right now, and you can't use the Historic Direct Challenge match and still have a 15-card sideboard. So, like, we literally didn't have client validation for the most recent Hoaglandia Open and the other ones. And it works out fine. That's not a big deal. Why isn't Jeff the final boss for the Hooglandia Opens? Because I'm not Channel Fireball trying to run a gimmick tournament, and I'm casting the tournament all day and doing production simultaneously. So I'm not going to play a match of Magic after being live for 7 to 9 hours casting a tournament. You have to understand, chat, like, when we do the Hooglandia tournaments, they are a really small production. Like, we ran the last one with a staff of 4 people, and that includes both commentators. It includes both commentators and my wife managing the actual tournament back end. There's 2 people casting, me plus 1, my wife running the tournament back end, and then someone else recording backup feature matches for time shift and stuff. This isn't like, you know, a Wizards or even SCG or Channel Firewall production, like they have staff. They're a labor of love. No one's getting rich off of them. Yeah, and my wife is also wrangling a 10-month-old, a 7-year-old, and a 5-year-old while she's managing 100 Magic players. That doesn't even have her undivided attention. Who would win, chat? One Gandalf deck or a Shifty Boy? Your money's on the dino? You're so bad. Macquilizer, thanks for the follow. Good afternoon. Alright, show me Wrath of God. I had one of those already or 2? Threw 2 of them. That does not touch the Shifty Boy, chat.
You'll thank me later.
No, Tefri.
No time for a break.
Afternoon, gentlemen. We're gonna get to the Growth Chamber Guardian deck today if I don't have any more line cuts, but if we have another line cut, it'll get pushed till tomorrow. Honestly, with rogues in the metagame right now, Shifting Ceratops seems like a total house. And there's always an unhealthy number of Gandalfs on the ladder, so like... if you're in green, some amount of Shifting Ceratops in your 75 is gonna get you a lot of mileage. Remember, Memory Lapse is not templated like Aether Gust. You cannot Memory Lapse a Shifting Ceratops. Memory Lapse says counter it. If it would be countered, put it on top. But here is Naya Dinos is playable. I mean, some type of Dino deck probably is, yeah. Ramp decks want Carnage Tyrant again. Now, I think Carnage Tyrant is much worse than Shifting Ceratops. 6 mana and no haste. Is this Naya Landfall? It's Naya Scapeshift aggro. I actually am in the process of putting deck lists back up on my website again now, CPU. So I got a bunch of artwork yesterday. I got to sit down and actually go through and put them up there. My deck doesn't actually draw cards, right? So Narset, I don't need to kill. I just want to put her off of being able to draw a card. Remember, everything is neatly organized in my YouTube and playlists, and there's deck lists in every video description for the time being.
Fury will only lead you astray.
Scapeshift! Scapeshift! Alright, I don't think there's any reason to commit into a sweeper here, so we're just gonna go ahead and smack them for 10 here and then pass. They're playing Stern Dismissal? Seriously? Alright, they kept a card, so I assume we're getting swept here. Could just be Helix. Do-do-do, 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 beep 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 do-do-do, do-do-do, do-do-do-do-do-do. Crunch. I'm gonna put a 4th Shifting Ceratops in our sideboard for the last one. If we queue into rogues or blue or control, we'll want it. The what's it called? It's been pretty mediocre. The landfall enchantment. Valakut Expedition. How many more decks are we doing today? Planning to do 2 more after this one. It's our 3rd deck of the day. And then starting tomorrow, I'm going to be shifting back to doing a little bit less Magic content and dipping back into variety. So I've been doing 5 decks every day since the set release. I'm planning to do 3 decks still every day, Monday through Friday, starting tomorrow. But at the last couple hours of the stream, starting tomorrow, I'll go back to doing different variety games. I'll be starting Pikmin 3 on the Switch tomorrow in the afternoon. Magic's fun, but 8 hours a day, I don't want to burn out on a historic. Cyan Man, thanks for the follow. Good afternoon. Is Knight better than a random? Yeah, probably. Lack of fetch lands this format. Make Knight pretty bad too. The fact that it's only a 3/3 on turn 5 is really rough here in this red removal matchup. This will be yet another matchup where I'm super happy I just shoved. Scapeshift is lethal. Oh, Scapeshift. This will be yet another matchup where 4 Shifting Ceratops is absurd though.
shown your prowess.
We're solidly into garbage time here. Yeah, the blue decks are disproportionately represented on the ladder in proportion to their power level. They're really not particularly... Their results have been super middling in all the events that have happened so far. Sky Factory? Enjoy. Their long break, getting into historic and decent solicited. Yeah, actually, one of the best decks in the format is Green White Collected Company Fuzzy Jello. It's like a Taxes Company deck. If you check out some of the recent 5K tournament postings, you'll find plenty of deck lists for him. Green-white meta shitters. Alright, so I don't want to play Knight here because I don't want to get cleared by... I don't want to get 3 things killed by Swelter this next turn. Couldn't play Knight anyways, we're missing white. Didn't see a lot of Tainted Pack when you looked at the 5K results. Yeah, it's because it's not super popular. There are a few people that played it to decent results. And honestly, I think I just pass here again. Passing, not playing this is worse against Electrolyze, but it's much better against that. And then hopefully this is just a concession Ceratops. Rip in peace. Thank you for the 3/4 of a year. Welcome back. Oh, actually, we just do this, right? Nissa Vital Force, by the way, is a card a lot of people haven't experienced before. She slaps, chat. She's very good. She ults very quickly, too. She literally goes up once and then ults and gives you an emblem. Very, very good in these control matchups. Does like a Glorybringer impersonation where like comes down and smacks them for 5. Very notable on Nissa Vital Force is that she comes down, makes a 5/5, which kills Teferi the turn you play her. She's much better against sweepers because you don't get your lands wrathed away with her, making 3/3s. I'm gonna do this. Maybe this is wrong. Yeah, I would say I kind of want to save this for after I play my landfall creatures, but it might be right to just fetch basic mountain. If we had missed on red source here, we'd be pretty sad. Thank you, oldest son. I love you. Jacob brought me a salad, chat. Oh shit, they're a Blood Sun deck. I forgot about that. Maybe I should have prioritized doing this on 1. Yeah, I definitely should have. I forgot about this aspect of the matchup. You witnessed one of the many people playing a control deck on the ladder. This was We did the thing a couple of times. More often than not, we ended up with Scapeshift stranded in our hand because our opponents killed our various or countered our various landfall payoffs. Just like our deck wasn't particularly impressive against the various interactive decks in this format, and that doesn't really surprise me. These very synergy-based decks where when the opponents can pick apart one or two of your key pieces with sweepers, counter spells, or removal, they're just like left holding these Arboreal Grazers and these Scapeshifts. Even Knight of the Reliquary to a degree just isn't a very good creature in this format if it's not enabling something. And yeah, so kind of whelmed. Don't think it's something I would play again. Takeaway from playing is that Shifting Ceratops is absurd on the ladder, and honestly, I don't know if you want to leave home without 3 or 4 of them if you're playing any kind of green creature deck. It's just so good against so many of the things that people are playing.